So I decided I'm gonna react to this video because I started watching this and I was like, this is gonna be good. First of all, very, very awesome channel, vlogging through history. This dude is awesome. I love his videos. He does a lot of reactions to like different history content and stuff, and he provides a lot of insight. Um, and yeah, his channel's awesome. So if you haven't checked his channel out, vlogging through history, it's awesome. But this I'm gonna react to him reacting to oh man, these dudes talking about apparently they believe that Winston Churchill is a villain. Um, so I'm gonna react to that. It's on Tucker Carlson or something, which already is a red flag. I don't know. Listen, dude, we live in a time right now where people are just using every platform to spew whatever they want, and I don't know when this nonsense is gonna end, but I'm gonna watch this video and I'm gonna watch homie reacting to it. Like, once again, shout out to him vlogging through history. Let's see what these people are talking about, bro. Because this is crap. This is bonkers, bro. Nonsensical. Hold on, let me get all set up here. Nonsensical garbage.
Consider myself an expert, but I feel like from everything I've read, I might know just a hair more than the guy in this video. But let's see. Let's dive in.
I'm sure you do, bro. I'm sure you do. Because this homie, bro.
I'm not English, so I don't have any weird motive in asking this, but how would you assess Winston Churchill?
I got in trouble
I don't have a weird motive in asking. I'm not English, so I don't care. All right, whatever, Tucker. Sure, Tucker.
with my podcast partner Jocko Willink one time because he's a New England.
That's not even
Dutchman.
how you say that
His
bro's
family,
name.
It's near and dear to they're Dutch, but very near and dear to their heart that Winston Churchill is a hero. Right?
Well, everyone
thinks that. He really thinks that. And I told him that I think, and maybe I'm being a
There's a reason for that.
little hyperbolic, maybe. But I told him, maybe trying to provoke him a little bit, that I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War.
Like, bro, just red flags right off the rip. Like, what are these fools talking about? Like, he's like, maybe trying to provoke him a little bit. I was trying to provoke him. And he just, like, admitted that he was just, like, trolling, basically. So how are we supposed to take this man serious? He just admitted that he was trolling. Did I hear that wrong? My boy vlogging through history, he's like, what the hell? Where are they going with this, bro?
Now, he didn't kill the most people. He didn't commit the most atrocities.
Yeah, no shit.
But I believe, and I don't really think, I think when you really get into it and tell the story right and don't leave anything out, you see that he was primarily responsible for that war becoming what it did, becoming something other than.
Oh my God, my brain. Dude, first look at my boy. Look at my boy, dude. Look at his face, bro. Bro. Basic. This is basic World War II knowledge. Like, Churchill can't be responsible for World War II becoming what it became because Churchill wasn't even in power when all the events that led up to World War II happened. Let me say that again. Churchill wasn't prime minister when all of the events that led to World War II happened. Neville Chamberlain was prime minister during the time of appeasement. That was Chamberlain, not Churchill. Churchill was cast aside, actually, bro. Like, people weren't messing with him at the time, you know. It was all them other dudes that let Hitler do whatever he wanted to do. So how the hell are you gonna blame Churchill, bro? Like, what?
and an invasion of Poland.
Let's see what my way has to say here, because
Other
like,
than an
holy
invasion
shit,
of
bro.
Poland,
Like,
are
what?
we just going to ignore everything that happened before that?
Right.
The Anschluss of Austria,
Right.
the taking of the Sudetenland, the
Right.
gobbling up of the rest of Czechoslovakia.
That was Chamberlain.
Remilitarizing the Rhineland.
Chamberlain. All them
Gosh,
boys.
what? We're going to say that
Churchill
it was
wasn't
just an
even in
invasion of
power.
Poland, no big deal. And we're going to act like Churchill is more responsible for that war than
Dog.
the regime in Germany. How can you even start to think that without? Oh, all right,
Bro, I don't know, bro.
Just
I don't
mean,
know,
at
bro.
Every step of the way, like people are very often, I find, surprised to learn. There's a two-step process.
Well,
right?
why don't you just make the case for that? Okay, so you.
all right. So first of all, let's just say this, because one of the things I keep seeing people in comment sections of videos, like,
Hold on, let me just, bro. He can't even formulate a coherent argument because he knows it's bullshit. Like, what are you talking about, bro? We just deconstructed his whole entire argument. Like, I don't know where you're gonna go with this. I really want to know where you're gonna go with this. Let's hear what homie has to say though.
on JD's live stream about this, is that it feels like people want to peel the layers back and say, hey, Winston Churchill was not necessarily a hero. And you know what? And they say, but we should do that with everybody. And that's absolutely true. There's no person in history who is a perfect hero.
They're all flawed.
Who doesn't have
I'm not
flaws
saying Churchill
and
isn't
dark areas.
it's some saint,
Some
because
have
he's
more
not.
than others. And absolutely, Winston Churchill is not a perfect person.
He's not.
And there are plenty of things to criticize him for, just as we can criticize any other leader from any other time. But to completely spin it all the way to the other side and say he's not only not a hero, he's the villain? Come on.
You've made your statement.
Bro, the villain just might be that dude named Adolf. They're trying to say he's the chief villain in World War II.
Statement. A lot of people are thinking, well, wait a second. You said Churchill, my childhood hero, the guy with the cigar.
Yeah. Well, and the next thought that comes into their head is that, oh, you're saying Churchill was the chief villain, therefore his enemies, Adolf Hitler and so forth, were
Stalin,
the protagonists, right?
Yeah.
That they're the good guys if you think he's a villain. That's not the case. That's not what I'm saying.
No, you're saying that he's more of a villain than Stalin and Hitler.
Yeah, bro. Like, what? Bro, you're saying that he's the chief architect. You may not be saying, he's the villain. Or that he's worse than. Well, no, you are. They literally are, bro. All right.
Just let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah.
More of a villain than them.
Yeah.
Germany, look, they put themselves into a position, and Adolf Hitler's chiefly responsible for this, but his whole regime is responsible for it, that when they went into the East in 1941, they launched a war where they were completely unprepared to deal with the millions and millions of prisoners of war, of local political prisoners and so forth that they were going to have to handle. They went in with no plan for that. And they just threw these people into camps, and millions of people ended up dead there.
What? Bro, what? Bro, what is he talking about, dog? They didn't have a plan. Bro, they had a plan. They knew what they were doing. Bro, this is common knowledge, bro. They knew that they were going to invade, and they knew that they were going to round these people up. They weren't like, what are you talking about? What, they were going to resettle? No, they didn't care. That's the whole point. The whole point of World War II is that they were going to invade, and they were going to settle these people, resettle them. This dude's like leaving out a whole lot of shit, bro. Like, I don't know. Like, he's acting like they just randomly up and decided one day to invade the East. And like, bro, if you read Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, you know they didn't just randomly up and decide to invade the East. They had a whole laid out plan of how they were going to do it. This man on the bomb, bro. Sorry, bro. Sorry about that freeze frame vlogging through history, bro. But his brain is just like mine right now. Like, what? Bro.
Did he just say that it was just kind of oops? Like, they had a war and they had all these prisoners and some of them died. The Holocaust wasn't intentional.
Whoopsie.
all these millions of people didn't
Whoopsie
die
daisy.
because of an intentional choice.
Bro, he literally just said that, bro. Like, he literally just said that. He said it was just like, oopsie daisy. Oh, we had all these people. Where did all these people come from? All right, let's just, I don't know, throw them somewhere. Oh, no, they're dying. Like, that's literally what he's making it sound like, bro. They had a meticulous, detailed plan of operation, bro. And this is common knowledge. Dude, read. I don't want to, like, I don't know who this guy is, so I don't want to, like, insult his intelligence, but, like, bro, read a book, dog. Like, what the, bro, this shit is documented by the Germans themselves.
Because guess what? Most of the captured soldiers from the UK and France and the United States did not end up dead because they had not a plan to deal with them. But that happened by the millions with Soviet prisoners. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't an, oh my gosh, what do we do with all these people? It was an intentional choice by that regime because they saw Bolsheviks, communists, Soviets, Russians. They saw them as every bit as detestable and subhuman as they saw Jews and other people. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
bro.
We're 2 minutes.
You're going down a really dark path, dude, if that's what you think, because you're starting to paint this shit as like, as it was just like a happenstance, bro. Like the Nazis didn't do shit. They just wanted to, they just went into the East all willy-nilly. Oh no, a war? A war? Oh no, people. What are we gonna do with them, bro? Come on, dog. If you read, read Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, dude. William Shirer, who lived and he saw this happen, basically details. Now he's got his bias too, but like he was there. He saw all this shit. They meticulously planned this out. This is well documented knowledge. This isn't bullshit. This isn't propaganda to try to paint the Nazis as villains. They were the villains.
It's in, and I'm already flabbergasted by this guy's logic.
Now you have
Me
you
too,
have,
buddy.
like, letters as early as July, August 1941 from commandants of these makeshift camps that they're setting up for these millions of people who are surrendering or people they're rounding up. And so it's 2 months after, a month or two after Barbarossa was launched. And they're writing back to the high command in Berlin saying, we can't feed these people. We don't have the food to feed these people. And one of them actually says, rather than wait for them all to slowly starve this winter, wouldn't it be more humane to just finish them off quickly now?
Listen, I know he's not intentionally saying it this way, but the implication...
Bro, where's he getting this from, dog? Bro, what? I need to know his sources, because I don't know where he's getting this. I've never read anything they were saying that, bro. They invaded the East with the intention to secure Lebensraum, which was living space for the German people, and to enslave the population, but also with the intention to get rid of and annihilate any of the undesirables, the Bolsheviks and the Jews, that they encountered. They had Einsatzgruppen commandos who were tasked with doing this. They followed the army into cities and rounded these people up. They were not going into this battle with the intention to feed or house anybody. So whatever letters that these generals were writing back to Hitler, that wasn't the letterhead. That wasn't the subject. The subject of most of these letters, at least what I know, was like, bro, we can't be doing this. This is not becoming of a general. There were a lot of generals and commanders who were against some of this stuff because it looked bad. It was terrible. They didn't want any part of it. There was some of that. Not a lot of them, but there was some of them. That was the gist of a lot of those letters, bro. It wasn't like, it was more like, what the hell are you guys doing? Why you killing all these people? Like, bro, what? But this man, bro, I don't know. What the...
of what he's saying right now is that the mass extermination of millions of Russians and other Soviet soldiers in camps was an act of mercy. Then why didn't they do that with the British soldiers that they were holding and the Americans
Right.
that they would hold later
Right.
on?
And so this is like
Yeah.
2
There's
months
that
into
too.
the invasion, right? And like
And Tucker Carlson's not even challenging any of this. He's just letting him say it.
Because Tucker doesn't know.
view on this,
He don't know.
you know, I argue with my Zionist interlocutors about this all the time with regard to the current war in
Oh,
Gaza.
here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, bro.
Like-
bro, same. Here we go with this shit. God damn it.
Maybe you, as the Germans, you felt like you had to invade to the east. Maybe you thought that Stalin was such a threat, or that if he launched a surprise attack and seized the oil fields in Romania, that you would now not have the fuel to actually respond, and you'd be crippled, and all of Europe would be under threat. And
Dude, what the bro? What? Did I hear that right? Is he saying that the Germans were attacking the Russians because they were afraid of Stalin? What the bro? What history book is this guy reading, dog? Is he reading a history book that was written by Hitler, bro? Like, dude, they invaded Russia because they wanted to. It was their plan to do this. I mean, it was Adolf's plan to do this. To secure living space. This shit is dude, guys, this is basic World War II knowledge. Like, this isn't. I'm not making this shit. You can literally just Google search this shit. It's like, bro. I mean, there's better sources than Google even. I mean, it's, bro.
whatever it was that like maybe you thought you had to do that, but at the end of the day, you launched that war with no plan to care for the millions and millions of civilians and prisoners of war that were going to come under your control. And
All right, time out.
Bro, he keeps saying that, right? And like, to an extent, he's right. Like, I think they didn't know like the sheer volumes of people. Dude, they captured like hundreds of thousands of Soviet prisoners in the beginning of Barbarossa. Like with their pincer movements, they captured like hundreds of thousands. So I don't think maybe they thought they were gonna have that much success. So yeah, maybe like they weren't prepared in that sense. But bro, they knew what they were doing. It was a meticulous plan by the German generals. They knew by Adolf himself.
All right, so I wanted to look up a few things just to have some facts and figures in front of me, and it looks like somewhere around 3 million Soviet prisoners of war died in German custody.
Right.
They weren't put in gas chambers. They weren't shot by the millions, though many of them were shot. Most of them died from exposure and starvation. So
Right.
this argument he's making that it was mercy killing is ridiculous because that's not how they died. They died of starvation. Also, the German government came right out and said, we are not obligated to protect Soviet prisoners of war because
Right.
the Soviet Union did not sign the Geneva Conventions. Therefore, we'll honor it with the other countries, but we are under no obligation.
They did not care. They didn't see these people as humans, bro.
To offer protected status to these prisoners of war. They acknowledged that up front. They didn't try to pretend that, we couldn't feed them. They themselves said, we're going to let them die. We're going to use them as forced labor. We're going to use them as slave labor until they die of exposure or starvation because they don't deserve protection. So you're
All of
making
this-
an argument that not even Germany themselves made.
Well
millions
documented.
of people died because of that, right? And you can look at it and say like, So get back to your main question.
This guy's
Bro, he lost his own train of thought. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. I'm sorry, dude, because I don't know this guy. I don't know. I'm just going off of what I'm seeing here, bro. And I'm just like, dude, these incoherent trains of thought that this man is having. I don't know, bro. Where is he getting this shit from?
an idiot.
About Churchill. If you go to 1939, when the Germans and the Soviet Union invade Poland.
Yeah, let's hear this, bro. Oh my god.
As soon as that war's wrapped up on the German side, Hitler starts firing off peace proposals to Britain and France because they had already declared.
Well, yeah, because he got what he wanted. He didn't want to go to war with all of them because he was preparing for the next war, which was going to be the Soviet Union. if he could avoid fighting France and Britain, he was all for that.
Yeah.
This wasn't an attempt at peace. This was an attempt to get out of having to fight them.
Declared war.
Yeah, and also, in his own deranged head, Adolf, he said, anyways, he saw the English as equals, part of the Aryan race or whatever. So, in his weird, twisted mind, he wanted to make peace with England because he thought they were equals or whatever. But who knows how far that shit was gonna go. But he's right. Like, he also didn't want to fight him. He knew that Germany's real destiny was to the east in Russia.
He didn't expect them to declare war. Actually, like there's
That's true.
a famous scene where he kind of throws a fit
Finally,
when he finds out that they actually did
something
that
true.
they did do that, and so he
Surprise, surprise, they upheld their treaty obligations. They were in a defensive treaty with Poland that if Germany invaded Poland,
Which they also did in World War I. So shouldn't have been much of a surprise. They're quote unquote honorable societies.
in an aggressive war, they would declare war on Germany, and they did.
He doesn't want to fight France. He doesn't want to fight Britain. He feels that's going to weaken Europe when we've got this huge threat to the east, the communist threat over there. And
Bro, the way this guy is the way he's phrasing stuff, it's like he's almost trying to make Hitler as like this martyr or some shit. Because he's like, because he thought it was going to weaken Europe when the real threat was to the east. No, bro, Hitler was not trying to, he's not trying to save Europe, dude. He's trying to conquer Europe. And he's trying to secure living space to the east. He's not some savior, bro. So where does Churchill come in all this, bro? Like,
starts firing off peace proposals. He says, let's not do this. Like, we can't do this. And of course,
we can't do, bro. Where did Hitler?
A year goes by, 1940 comes around, and they're still at war, and so he launches his invasion to the west, takes over France, takes over
And of course, I mean, like, because Churchill and the French and the English, they didn't give him any choice, right? I mean, he had to invade the west because at this point, what else is he going to do? And the evil Churchill didn't accept his peace proposal, even though he literally launches his invasion of the west the day that Churchill becomes prime minister.
He didn't. Exactly. There's that, right? He sent peace proposals, but he didn't wait for the response to said peace proposals. They launched a false flag operation to justify them invading Poland. This is well documented stuff. They knew what they were doing. Adolf knew what he was doing. Churchill had no bearing in any of this. This was all the doing of the German Führer. It was him. He masterminded all this. Him and his cronies. Him and OKW. That was their plan. Where does Churchill come in on all this? Bro was a bystander at this point. He took over office, like he said, the day that this happened, that they launched into the war.
Western and Northern Europe. Once that's done, and the British have, escaped at Dunkirk. There's no British force left on the continent. There's no opposing force left on the continent. In other words, the war is over.
Except for the French.
The war's not over. They didn't win.
Okay.
But by what point?
Yeah, how was the war over? What are you talking
Fall
about?
of 1940, right? So there's literally no opposing force on the continent.
What are you talking about? There was literally a whole French army still fighting them.
So everybody should just give in and let Hitler win, right?
The British were still at war with them. Some of the French were still fighting. Yeah, they lost, but man, this man acting like they vacated all of Europe, bro. Oh wait, hold on. What happened? Oh, I lost time. My bad. Hold on.
Adolf Hitler is firing off radio broadcasts, giving speeches, literally sending planes over to drop leaflets over London and other British cities, trying to get the message to these people that Germany does not want to fight you.
Bro, this is bogus,
He
dog.
was such a peaceful guy.
Bro, is this propaganda, bro? Did Adolf's ghost send this man on a podcast? to try to clean up his image, bro, because it ain't working, bro. I know school children that know this, bro, but like, bro, he was not. Adolf did not have any intention on peace, bro. He did not. Not the kind of peace that the rest of the world wanted. The peace for the German people, for the Nazis, but not that any kind of peace that anybody else was interested in, especially if you were an undesirable in their eyes. Bruh.
Everything to not fight the British. But evil dictator, evil villain, chief villain of World War II, Winston Churchill, wouldn't accept peace.
Like, we don't want to fight you. Offering peace proposals that...
I don't know if he ever actually said it, but in the movie version of Winston Churchill, he said, you don't negotiate with a lion when your head is in its mouth. That's true.
You know, it said, you keep all your overseas colonies. We don't want any of that. We want Britain to be strong.
Look, bro. Okay, look, philosophically, let's just talk about this, right? We're talking about you're the head of a government. You are facing war and invasion and tyranny and possible enslavement and all that stuff, right? From an opposing force. Churchill reasoned in his mind that it was worth, he deemed it that it was worth fighting to be free in the way that they wanted to be free, not in the way that Adolf wanted him to be free and in Britain to be free, but in the way they wanted to be free. And you're going to lose, people are going to die. The question is, it's like, okay, is he a villain because he willingly committed British lives and other lives into this war to fight against, bro, and absolutely unequivocal, like it's not even a question, an evil regime, bro. Like, I'm sorry, because that word evil gets thrown around a lot, but dude, what the Nazis were doing, there's no question. You have to stand up against that kind of tyranny. You have to. If you make peace with Hitler, if he made peace with Adolf, how long until they got all kinds of SS soldiers walking the streets of London? All their freedoms are taken away, and they're just rounding up all the undesirables that live in the UK. That's not any kind of peace you want, man. It's not, and you can't tell me this man's a villain because he decided to not take peace from Adolf, bro. Come on, man.
The world needs.
What are we
Britain to be
talking
strong,
about?
you know,
What a
especially
guy.
as we face
What a
this
guy.
communist threat and so forth. Like this what's going on. And I think that if there were people in Britain who, well, if they hadn't put it this way, if they hadn't been so successful at delegitimizing the peace approach by demonizing Neville Chamberlain and so forth.
Demonizing Neville Chamberlain, he walked around saying peace in our time. And no sooner had he said it than the things that he said he negotiated were lost. Come on, are you kidding me? They delegitimized Chamberlain's peace proposal. Come on.
And holding him responsible.
Look, I don't think Chamberlain's a bad guy. Chamberlain got played, bro. And look, man, we all get played sometimes. Sometimes people pull one over on us, man. Chamberlain got played by Adolf, and look, he knew it in the end, and before his life was over, just how played he was. But look, I wouldn't demonize him personally, but let's just be real. Like, his actions did that. He said there was going to be peace, and then immediately Adolf just did whatever the hell he wanted. It was just bullshit.
Responsible for the invasion of Poland.
Well, yeah, it was appeasement.
That people would have been, they would have
Appeasement.
understood. Like, we don't need a repeat of the First World War.
You're right. We should have just let Hitler have the continent, let him massacre millions of people, let him have
That's what I'm
Aryan
talking about.
domination, let him take care of the Soviet threat, and the world will be a wonderful place, right?
That's what I'm talking about. They act like Adolf was just gonna stop, right? Some people are like, he was just gonna stop. Oh yeah, they thought he was just gonna stop with the Anschluss. Didn't. They thought he was just gonna stop with the Sudetenland. He didn't. They thought he was just gonna stop with Poland. He didn't. Like, bro, I'm sensing a theme here, bro. He wasn't just gonna stop, man. And they were murdering countless innocent peoples all along the way. Why would you negotiate with these people for any kind of peace? At this point, bro, it truly is. You gotta fight, bro. And Churchill's a villain because he chose to fight?
Right. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to back up a little bit and cover some of the stuff he's been talking about, particularly this idea that Germany wanted peace and didn't really want to fight against France and Britain, and really had no plans and did everything they could to avoid it, including dropping leaflets and things like that. First of all, that ignores the Blitz, which was going on in the summer of 1940, which was bombing of the British towns and cities.
Mm-hmm.
It was an air war against the British home front, but also against their navy. And it also ignores the plans that Hitler himself gave in his directives to his army. So I want to start with his Führer Directive number 1 for the conduct of the war. And this was issued on the 31st of August, 1939, the day before the invasion of Poland. So this, there's a lot here, but among other things, he's covering the distinct likelihood of war against France and Britain, which he knows is quite possible. So one of the things he says here, number 3, is, in the West, it is important to leave the responsibility for opening hostilities unmistakably to England and France. So he's anticipating that there's going to be fighting, but we need to make it look like they started it. So that's one part. But then he also talks about, he says, defensive activity of the Air Force will be restricted for the time being to the firm repulse of enemy.
All this basically discredits everything that man was talking about, bro. Like, these are Hitler, these are Adolf's own plans, bro. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Let's get back to just like reacting to this dude talking. But once again, check out Vlogging Through History. This dude, man, he knows his stuff, dude. He's awesome. He's an awesome channel.
To fight Germany, and the
Guy who just wants peace.
and so Churchill. I mean, you have a guy. Churchill wanted a war. He wanted to fight Germany, and the reason that I don't begrudge him that. You know, people can national leaders. You can fight whoever you want. If you feel like your long term,
Churchill didn't want a war. Adolf wanted a war because Adolf started the war. Long before Churchill was in office, Adolf planned this war. What are you talking about?
the long-term interests of the British Empire are threatened by the rise of a powerful continental power like Germany, and you need to check that. Those are great power games, and
It's not a power game. They had a defensive agreement with Poland to protect the integrity of Poland as a country against German aggression. And they honored that agreement.
play them the way you feel like you need to play them. That's fine.
Look, we can get into this whole thing, like what happened after World War One, where like, dude, they carved up World War One. They made a lot of dumb decisions, and all this. And you can argue the real reason why Britain and France were like, oh, they made these agreements to protect these territories was to basically keep Germany under their thumb. They were afraid of a German empire. Because German was seen as a threat, as an empire. They were, and there's no doubt about that. But Churchill had nothing to do with any of this, bruh. Churchill was in the behind the scenes, bro. He wasn't in the forefront of all this shit when all that was going on. I mean, during World War One, I mean, the thing that he was responsible for, unfortunately, was Gallipoli. But like, bro, other than that that mistake, he can't be blamed for the end of the war and all the other stuff that happened. And like, bro, like he's trying to blame. I just don't understand how you can blame someone and make them the chief villain for something that they weren't even around when it started, and they weren't even the one perpetrating this. They were just reacting to it and defending themselves.
The reason I resent Churchill so much for it is that he kept this war going when he had no way to go back and fight this war. All he had were bombers. He was literally, by 1940, sending fire.
By 1940, Churchill didn't even become prime minister until May of 1940.
Oh my God, bro! What are you? This guy, bro. Read a book, man.
And again, it happened at the same moment Germany was invading France and Belgium and the Netherlands. This was not something that was going on after Churchill became prime minister.
Bomb fleets, sending bomber fleets to go firebomb the Black Forest, just to burn down sections of the Black Forest. Just rank terrorism, you know.
It's not rank terrorism, it's war.
Going through and starting to, what eventually became just the carpet bombing, the saturation bombing of civilians.
He's glazing over so much shit. He's glazing over everything that Germany was doing at this time. Sure, the firebombing campaigns that the British undertook during World War II, questionable at best, for sure. No question about it. But what was Germany doing at this time? He's making it seem like Germany was just sitting there like, oh no, why are you doing this, Churchill? We didn't do anything. Bro, they're literally sending V2 rockets into the middle of London, killing civilians. The Blitz, all that stuff was happening. The Germans weren't just sitting on their hands. They were perpetrating the Holocaust. The Germans weren't just sitting on their hands. They were invading Russia. Like, bro, what are we doing here, man? What is this shit?
To kill.
What is this, bro?
Which was to kill as many civilians as possible.
So here's my question about that, and I'm not
It's true.
Arguing otherwise, that civilians didn't suffer terribly on this war.
They did.
And that there
Dresden
was a lot of
is
bombing,
awful.
Firebombing of Dresden.
Yeah, Dresden was really bad.
But here's my question: in an industrial, and this is just a question, I'm not making an argument. In an industrial war, where your ability to make aggressive war on other nations is dependent on your industry and the amount of tanks and planes and other weapons that you can produce on a mass scale.
Right.
In that scenario, who is a civilian? Because you can't make that war without the hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
I would say civilians, probably what he's trying to say is like, are the people that are working in the factories civilians? They're part of the war machine, technically. And I would say, yeah, they're civilians because they're not soldiers. They're doing it because they're being either forced to or they're just trying to make a living. They're still civilians just trying to survive. And their job just happens to be making munitions and all that stuff. But I don't think they're part of the war effort. So to me, they're still civilians. But I can see why people would say maybe not, but they're still civilians to me.
Of civilians in these factories doing that.
And all the men were out in the field. All the fighting age men were out in the field. And so this is old people, it's women and children, and they knew that. And they were wiping these places out. It was as gigantic scaled terrorist attacks. Agreed.
And what was the German Luftwaffe doing in the summer of 1940, if not bombing civilians?
Bro, I was just saying.
This, scale of terrorist attacks you've ever seen in world history.
Why would he do that?
Because
why would he do that? Why ever would he do? Why? I don't know. Why would he do that? Why would Churchill engage in a firebombing campaign? I mean, just completely unprovoked. The Germans just mind their own business at this point, right? They just happened to conquer all of Belgium and France and Holland. They didn't want to. Yeah. So why ever would Churchill do that? Let's see what this guy has to say.
The only means that they had to continue fighting at the time. They didn't have the ability to read.
So the leader of a country that was at war used every means at his disposal to win the war. That's what he's saying.
Invade Europe. And so he needed to keep this war going until he accomplished what he hoped to accomplish. We know now there's actually a really great series of books. It's one of the best. I recommend it to everybody, but it's really expensive now, and it's 6 long volumes called History of British Special Operations in the Second World War. And one of the books gets into the level of just the extent of media operations, propaganda operations, everything that they were running in the United States to eventually drag us into that war.
Well, that makes total sense. And what was Germany doing at all this time, except also running media and propaganda operations? He makes it sound like this stuff was.
And again, to me, bro, like, where's Churchill implicated in any of this, bro? Other than the fact that his timelines are jacked up, but he did take over UK and he was in charge of Britain during the war. So yeah, they were running propaganda campaigns. They wanted to get the United States into the war to help them out because they needed the United States to help them out because they were fighting an enemy who needed to be defeated. But that's war.
It's happening in a vacuum, and that all of the things that happened were Churchill's responsibility. That Churchill was the one who made Germany invade Poland, take the Sudetenland, take Czechoslovakia, take Austria, the deaths of millions of Soviet prisoners of war. Well, I mean, it was mercy killing, right? It was, what choice did he have? And then he starts bombing Germany because he can't actually go in and defend their allies like France and Belgium and the Netherlands and Poland with land troops because the British don't have a massive land army.
And that was his whole plan. His whole plan was we don't have a way to fight this war ourselves. This war is over.
No.
We need.
But that's what you do. You're facing the tyranny of the Nazi regime over continental Europe, and you know that things are happening there that need to be dealt with, and that this menace of Germany needs to be rolled back. And you are desperate to bring in the big, when you're facing a bully, you need to go get a bigger bully to deal with them.
And listen, man, I'm not going to sit here and act like that all their intentions of waging this, fighting the war against Germany was completely pure. Sure, they probably had some machinations of, like, we want to keep our, empire going. We want to do all this and, all that. But at the end of the day, bro, they had to stop Germany, dude. They were killing so many people. They were committing war crimes and crimes against humanity, like left and right. Like, it was going out of style, bro. What were they supposed to do?
And of course he needed the United States. Why are we making it sound like this was some evil act on the part of Churchill to get the United States involved in this war? Franklin Roosevelt wanted the U.S. involved in the war too, but he was in a situation where the U.S. Public sentiment was against the war.
And they were involved in the war because they were sending weapons over there. And what were a lot of the weapons that they sent over there probably did? They probably killed Germans with those weapons. So the United States wasn't completely innocent. Like, oh no, the British lured us into the war. Come on, man. Get out of here.
And so they weren't in a place yet to do that.
The Soviet Union or the United States to do it for us, and that was the plan, and kept the war going long enough for that plan to come to fruition. And to me, it's a craven, ugly way to fight a war.
No.
And
what was the motive?
No.
This is insanity.
It's
absolute insanity.
Complete
See
nonsensical.
That smile.
It's
betrays
nonsense,
the fact
bro.
That
it's absolute
there's
nonsense,
some conspiracy theories shooting around in this tiny pea-sized brain of his.
Yeah.
About why Churchill would do this.
Yeah.
I guarantee you what he thought in that moment was it was the Jews, but he's not going to say that.
Well, Churchill's got a long and complicated history.
I'm not going to go there.
I mean,
he also just called him P-Brain. Shout out to blogging through history, bro.
He's somebody who...
That was the wryest smile I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Say what you think.
Well...
You've been doing it so far.
I think on one level, there was a sense that Churchill was sort of humiliated by his performance in the First World War.
Wait, so World War II happened.
Here we go. Oh, boy. So Churchill wanted to redeem himself for Gallipoli. by waging a world war against the Germans and dragging the Russians and the poor little United States into it to fulfill his machinations and his designs. He didn't want to take Hitler's peace offers. He was just so villainous. He was so mean to Adolf, man. He just denied all his peace proposals, and yeah, man. I mean, Churchill, you're right, dude. Churchill is awful, man. He was just trying to, bro. He was just trying to make himself look good. At the end of the day, damn.
And because Churchill was humiliated by Gallipoli. Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah.
Was the head of the Admiralty, and he was out in the cold for a long time.
I mean, Gallipoli.
Yeah, and which was
Gallipoli.
that was his operation.
Yeah.
You mean
and so
Gallipoli.
he was rightly held responsible for that, and seen as responsible for one of the great disasters that the British suffered during that war.
It continues to amaze me
Somme
how
was
we
worse.
focus so much on Gallipoli. So, for example, Australia, New Zealand, obviously,
The Somme was worse.
Anzac Day is based on the invasion of Gallipoli, which was a complete disaster. And yet the Australians suffered as many casualties in the span of a few weeks at Posiers during the Somme offensive as they did in the entire
The Somme was worse.
nearly, 8 months or so of Gallipoli. But we don't talk about that. The Somme was way bigger a disaster than Gallipoli was.
My boy, see, hey, y'all check out this man's channel. You know, I'm a way smaller channel. I don't know why I'm trying to prop him up. But yeah, check out this man's channel.
And so I think part of it was probably kind of personal. You know, he wanted redemption. He wanted to go out there and like prove that he's
This
the,
is
the war
such
hero.
asinine, bro.
So,
This is
What exactly is happening
This
in
is
the time
asinine.
between September 1939 and May 1940 when Churchill is not prime minister that could indicate that Churchill was the one who kept this war going in order to get personal glory for himself?
They can go out there and fight this big war. Probably. I think
Probably. There you go.
this is nonsensical,
Can we
dude.
just for a second acknowledge that it wasn't like Churchill was doing this all by himself either. The majority of his cabinet was in favor of continuing this war.
If he didn't have the support of the people and of the parliament and all that stuff, none of this would happen, bro. England is not a dictatorship, you know. England is not a fascist government ran by a dictator like Germany. So if they were against Churchill, then they would have stopped. It's that simple. It's like he wasn't that strong, bro. Like what?
Sentiment of the British people was to stand and to be defiant and stand up against tyranny. It's not like Churchill
And they should be commended for that, bro, because yeah, they were standing up against evil, bro. I mean, like I said, I don't like to use that term a lot, but they're just evil.
by himself dragged Britain kicking and screaming into war with Germany.
part of it. I read about Churchill, and he strikes
Do
me
ya?
as a psychopath.
Psychopath. Oh my gosh.
But he's also
This man has no. I'm just gonna go and say this man has no credibility. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's clear to me he doesn't know what he's talking about. A psychopath, bro. Like I said, Churchill, by no means, by any stretch of the imagination, he's not some saint. He's not perfect. But a psychopath, bro.
a sort of. I mean, he was a drunk. He was very
What was Adolf, bro?
childish in strange ways. People would
You're very childish.
talk about how, as an adult, like as prime minister, they find him in his room and he's like playing with action figures like war toys and army men and stuff, and would get mad when people would interrupt him. When he was doing this. This is a strange fellow. There's all those things.
Yeah, so are you, buddy. I don't know basic World War II knowledge. Shut up, dude. This guy's a clown, bro.
Got to do with anything.
This dude is literally. I think this guy's jealous of Churchill, bro. Like low key, I think this man a little jealous, bro. Hey, bro, you want to wage a war? You a little jealous that you are in charge of a country right now? Hey, step your game up, dog.
But then you get into, why was Winston Churchill such a dedicated booster of Zionism from early on?
There you go. Remember I said a minute ago
Yep.
he smiled,
Yep.
and I said what was bouncing around in his mind was it was the Jews. And now he finally admits it. That's what this is all about, is that at the end of the day, it's about the Jews.
Yep.
And that's all the answer you need as to where this guy's mind is.
Yep.
In his life, right? And there's ideological reasons. Like in 1920, he wrote a kind of infamous now article called "Zionism versus Bolshevism," and he basically makes the case that, which was true to a large extent, that all of Eastern Europe, the Pale of Settlement, which is where the vast majority of Jews lived, other than the United States, which is where a lot of them had traveled to, that area had become so engulfed by a revolutionary
Sorry,
spirit
man. My brain.
that all the young
The rebellious Jews, it's their fault. My God, this guy is absolute
Bolsheviks, they're
I'm gonna
be
skip ahead a
Zionists.
little bit, y'all.
We want them to be Zionists.
soldiers
bet.
who needed revenge.
I think he was who was representing.
I think I get this.
Thought I knew what I was prepared for, but it's way worse than I thought. Listen, there are things you can legitimately criticize Winston Churchill for. There are some serious questions and serious discussions to be had about policy in India, for example, and how much culpability he.
Listen. I'm gonna take it from here too. Listen, bro. Like homie was saying, Churchill. Like I said, he's not a saint. He's not a saint. You can criticize him for a lot of things, bro. But you cannot say that he's the chief villain of World War II. You just can't say that. You can't paint World War II as some kind of just some kind of happenstance, willy-nilly thing that happened. The Germans was just kind of, oh no, what are we doing? Oh no, why is Britain not suing for peace? They planned it. They knew exactly what they were doing. All this is well documented, and if you choose to believe this guy's narrative, you are deluded. It's not how it went down. Anyways, yo, check out my check out Vlogging Through History, one of my favorite one of my favorite channels on YouTube for history stuff. He's awesome, man. So yeah, check him out. Check out all his videos, check out the original video and all that stuff. I think I've been on here a little bit too long, my bad. So I've been rambling and stuff. Anyways, I need to upload more often, I know. So yeah, if y'all check this out, yeah, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. If you somehow disagree with me and homie over here, bro, I don't know, go ahead and spout off, but it's really no debate. Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Stay epic. Stay safe. Peace.